All right, we got a pretty heated exchange today in question period from a very based conservative MP named Layla Goodridge, who is letting the Liberals have it for their ridiculous food program for schools that doesn't even really feed any kids, and we shouldn't need it anyway because parents should be able to afford to feed their own kids. It's a sad state of this country when you have so many parents who can't afford to feed their kids 3 meals a day. And what does the government do? They want to just have a school program. Instead of making life easier and more affordable for Canadians, they want to take over. They want to be the parents now. Weird. But we're going to get into this. Now, before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help grow the channel. And I appreciate you guys so much for doing that for me. So let's have a look and then we'll talk about it.
The honourable member for Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
Children are going hungry in Canada due to Liberal mismanagement. Every dollar this Liberal Prime Minister spends comes out of the pockets of Canadian families through higher prices and food inflation. A third of Canadian children now live in a food-insecure household. Food Banks Canada reports record-breaking food bank use with 2.2 million visits in a single month, and over 700,000 of those visits are children. When will the Liberals realize that their inflationary deficits are driving up the cost of food banks and driving Canadian children to the food bank?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are committed to growing the strongest economy in the G7 and protecting and strengthening the supports that help Canadian families. The report that is being highlighted here, again, I would say that the relief that families get through the school food program, dental care, childcare, these are all things that report cites as critical to addressing the challenges that Canadians are facing right now. This government will always stand with Canadian families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member.
Does anyone believe a word she just said? We strongly believe in supporting Canadian families. Then cut the crap, cut some of the taxes. Check out my video from the other day when Pierrepoilievre said he might want to cut income tax. He said that there have to be enough money in the system coming in through other taxes to do it. But wouldn't that be nice? $400 to $500 dollar a month raise based off of how much you make. Just like that. Cut taxes, boom. Makes life more affordable, doesn't it? And of course, the Liberals are about, oh, that's what Trump wants. So you're mad that Pierrepoilievre wants to make life more affordable for you. See, I really don't get the way Liberals think. They're just so scared of Trump that if Pierre even remotely says anything close, even if it's a good idea, he just gets compared to Trump. Like, maybe markcarney should take that idea and actually make life more affordable for Canadians so that we can afford to feed our own children. But nope, they want to play mommy and daddy.
For Fort McMurray, Cold Lake.
If a single one of those projects and programs actually worked, there wouldn't be 700,000 children waiting in food bank lines every single month.
Right.
This is not okay. And yet somehow the Liberals have normalized this. 9 out of 10 kids aren't even fed by the school food program, Mr. Speaker. When will the Liberals realize their inflationary deficits and hidden food taxes are making food more expensive and driving Canadian children to food banks?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No child in this country should go to school hungry. This is why our government brought forward the National School Food Program, and that is why this new government has committed to making this program permanent and introducing legislation to do so, as well as the funding necessary to ensure this program continues in perpetuity. This is an essential piece of tackling the challenges that Canadian families are facing. We are proud of this program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Battleford, Lloydminster.
So, who is the party that kind of destroyed everything and made life more expensive? Oh, that was the Liberals. That's why they have to say this new government over and over again, so that they can trick people into thinking that they are different in a better way than Justin Trudeau. Well, I would half agree with that, because they are different than Justin Trudeau. They're just worse. And a lot of people are starting to realize that. Now, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's this whole election scare going on right now. If the budget does not pass on November 4th, we will be going to an election. And it's going to be hard for any conservative to vote to pass it, because then it's on their record, and that's not going to look great. The Conservatives, I think, could abstain from voting, and then I believe if that were the case, the Liberals could pass it on their own. But please fact check me on that, because I'm not 100% sure if that's true. But I think that's an option for the Conservatives. But in all likelihood, the NDP is going to vote to pass it, even if they don't agree with it. Because they can't go to an election right now. The Liberals don't really want to have an election right now. The Conservatives really don't, because it's close. And no one really wants to be the ones to say, oh yeah, the election happening is our fault. They don't want to be the ones, oh, this is what, you're the reason we have to go vote again. We just voted 6 months ago. Canadians don't want an election right now. So you don't want to be the one to piss off swing voters. Swing voters decide elections. So, it's Conservatives decide to mess around here or make a mistake, and we have an election and Carney wins. That's going to be a tough one to swallow. But that being said, the NDP does not have a leader, they don't have any money, and they want official party status back. To have an election when they don't have a leader, not a great idea. So strategically, they could just say, hey, look, we were forced to vote for it because we can't have an election right now. I hope that's what happens, because, again, I know a lot of you want an election right now. I don't think it's a great idea. I think it's way too close to call. You don't want to have an election called on November 4th for, say, mid-December, and then all of a sudden Carney gets a deal done, he shoots up in the polls, and it's a majority, and I'm really worried about that, by the way, if you can't tell. Mentioned it a few times. I do, the last thing I want to see is the deal with Trump get done and then have an election right after it, because in my opinion, the Liberals and the mainstream media, no matter what the deal is or contains, they're going to make it look good. And potentially even hide some of the details that are bad and not tell us, and then we don't find out for another year or two. Or however long. But you know what I mean? I'm worried that he could manipulate swing voters into voting for him again, and potentially even gaining more voters and getting a majority. And then we got him for 4 more years. So, again, not good news there. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would imagine Carney wants an election before the NDP gets their leader. But either way, it's going to be a very interesting next 6 months, that's for sure. But either way, hopefully what happens is that we have the Conservatives continue to hammer at the Liberals like Layla Goodridge just did. And then people realize that Carney's kind of a joke and he's not better than Trudeau at all. He's way worse. Rent will keep going up, probably. Food prices are going to go up. Carney said he'd be judged at what happens at the grocery store. So I do see Canadians starting to turn on him fairly quickly, but it's going to take a little bit more time. I know it sucks. We all want it. And I wish the Conservatives were way up in the poll and the budget got shut down and we went to an election. But that's not what's happening, unfortunately, so we got to be a little bit patient, but have hope, because hope is coming and change is coming.